Good morning to you, Ngozi and Mike. Well, here is the news update. We begin with the unfortunate fuel crisis. Many residents of Akure, Ondo State, were stranded due to fuel scarcity. The situation has affected economic and social activities in the state capital, bringing it to a gradual halt. Commercial motorists and motorcyclists who have been unable to get the product have increased their fares, causing untold hardship for the people. Many residents want governments to urgently do something about the situation.
This is my car. I just park it. I cannot move. I have to either I use my leg or I use bike. Even the bike, the cost of bike now is even at least go higher than more than what even we were expecting. You can see now the numbers of the cars that are moving now is even reducing. Things are very tense.
Even as I am with you, I want to travel, but because of the fuel, I can't even go for my business. Like my place I live in Champion down to Cathedral here is 100 naira. It's something they enter 50 naira before. It's now 100 naira because of the scarcity. And we are even begging the government if they can do something from now till Friday.
People are no more going to farms, they are at home. Even people are no more traveling as a result of the scarcity of fuel. And what we got to know is that those filling stations, they have it, but it's as if they intend keeping it for some time so as to get more money or extort people.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) says that it has increased petrol supply in order to make the queues across the country disappear. In a statement released on Tuesday, the state oil company said Abuja will now get 30 more fuel trucks on a daily basis, in addition to the normal 70, making it 100 fuel trucks on a daily basis. For the Federal Capital Territory, it also says Lagos is now being supplied 300 trucks of petrol daily. The NNPC wants Nigerians to quit panic buying and has assured that it has 21 days sufficiency of petrol. Now, the Court of Appeal in Lagos has upheld the 2-year imprisonment imposed by the Federal High Court in Lagos on 14 foreign nationals. They were convicted of illegally dealing in more than 1 million metric tons of petrol products in 2015. The convicts, identified as citizens of Russia, Ukraine, Philippines and Japan, were convicted alongside their vessels. Justice Ibrahim Buba convicted the foreigners on 5 counts and sentenced them to 2 years imprisonment in 2016, each starting from when they were arrested by the Nigerian Navy. The judge gave them the option of paying 5 million naira fine instead of going to jail. In other stories, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission says that it has arrested the founder of Innocent Motors, Innocent Chukwuma, because he jumped bail. EFCC spokesman Wilson Owajare claims Chukwuma refused to honor an invitation in a case being investigated by the commission, but he did not state what the case was about. Chukwuma was picked up Tuesday morning at his Enugu home. A spokesman denies that the industrialist jumped bail. He believes Chukwuma's arrest is related to a legal case he has with a bank, which reportedly owes Chukwuma. Niger State Governor Abubakar Bello says that his state loses more than 1 billion naira monthly because residents of the state remit taxes to the federal government at Federal Capital Territory instead of paying to the state. He disclosed this in Abuja during courtesy visit to the Finance Minister Kemi Adeosun as part of efforts to increase Niger State's internally generated revenue so as to deliver better services to the people of the state. Adeosun assured that the federal government would do all in its power to correct error by setting up a reconciliation committee between Niger and Federal Capital Territory to remit taxes correctly. An U.S. tax bill now. The U.S. Senate will vote on a bill which could see tax cuts within the country. On Tuesday, the House of Representatives approved sweeping tax legislation before sending the final bill to the Senate. This is the first overhaul of the U.S. tax system in more than 30 years. If approved, as we understand, by both chambers of the Senate, President Donald Trump could sign the legislation into law later today. The House passed the bill by a vote of 222 to 203, overcoming united opposition from Democrats and 12 Republicans who voted against it. Now, the life of a Mexican journalist, Guillermo Perez, ended abruptly when he was shot 4 times at his son's school Christmas celebration. His killing is the latest in the country's deadliest year on record for media workers. Perez, who regularly wrote about security and drug trafficking, is the third journalist to be killed in the state and 12th overall in Mexico this year. Eyewitnesses say that the attack was carried out by a lone gunman. Now let's give you some sports stories now. Arsenal booked their place in the Carabao Cup semi-finals as Danny Welbeck's lone goal settled a tight encounter with West Ham United. Arsenal manager Arsene Wenger, who made 11 changes from the weekend win over Newcastle, said his side struggled to break down the defensively resolute visitors in the first half. But England forward Welbeck broke West Ham's resistance just before the break, turning in Matthew Debuchy's header across goal. Hammers boss David Moyes also saw a much-changed side fail to click in attack with the late introductions of Andy Carroll, Diafra Sakho and Marko Arnautovic failing to undo the Arsenal defence. Manchester City reached the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup, on the other hand, following a penalty shootout victory over Leicester City. Leicester had taken the game into penalties after Jamie Vardy scored in the final minute of time added to cancel Manchester City's lead and leave scores at 1-1 after full-time and extra time. Manchester City won the penalty shootout, courtesy goalkeeper Claudio Bravo's brilliance in saving Riyad Mahrez's sport kick while Jamie Vardy hit the post. And Barcelona forward Lionel Messi promises more goals after picking up his fourth Pichichi trophy at the La Liga Master Awards on Monday night. It is recognition of his 37 goals scored in the Spanish League during the 2016-2017 season. The Argentine, who currently leads this season's La Liga, scoring with 14 goals, also received the Alfredo Di Stefano trophy for the league's best player. Messi's teammate Andrea Iniesta was named the most valuable player of Spain's national team. Atletico Madrid's goalkeeper Jan Oblak received his second Zamora trophy, awarded to the keeper who records the lowest goals per games ratio. A controversial track and field superstar Justin Gatlin is facing new doping probe at the moment. Members of his team allegedly offered to supply performance-enhancing drugs to undercover journalists. Athletics anti-doping officials have begun an investigation into what IAAF President Sebastian Coe called serious allegations. The Daily Telegraph said an agent linked to Gatlin, Robert Wagner, offered to illicitly supply performance-enhancing drugs to undercover reporters. It also reported that Gatlin's coach, former Olympic gold medalist Dennis Mitchell, told reporters that athletes are able to get away with doping because the drugs they use cannot be detected by tests. Gatlin, the current 100-meter champion, was banned for doping in 2001 and again in 2006. And there's more doping ban for Russia. Bob Sleder Alexei Voevoda has been given a life ban from the Olympics for anti-doping violations at the 2014 Sochi Games. The decision comes in 2 weeks after the International Olympic Committee banned Russia from next year's Pyeongchang Winter Olympics. The 37-year-old Voevoda won gold in the 2-man and 4-man bobsled, but the IOC said he and the Russian team had been disqualified from both. Previously, Alexander Zubkov, Voevoda's teammate in both events, was also found guilty of anti-doping violations and disqualified. Now, boxing and world heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua says that he is ready at the moment to rock and roll with Tyson Fury whenever the former champion wants to get in the rings with him. Fury has not fought since taking 4 belts from Vladimir Klitschko in September 2015, but with his well-publicized problems with the UK anti-doping now behind him, the 29-year-old has returned to training. The Manchester-born fighter spent the last week calling out Joshua in several interviews and on social media. He also vowed to retake the titles he was forced to give up. Joshua is preparing for his next fight at the end of March, most likely against WBO champion Joseph Parker. Well, that's sports now. Let's bring you weather updates, and the program continues.